Days were similar. I hunted in the morning. I cooked at noon. I was relaxing in the afternoon when the sun was the strongest. And I worked in the evening. This was my typical day. I also taught the parrot to say his name. His name was Pole. My cornfields kept me busy in November and December. The wild goats and rabbits were eating the little plants. I didn't want to lose my corn, so I quickly made a fence around the area with the seeds. I made a gate, which I could open quickly in the fence. I put my dog inside the fence. He protected my corn at night. Soon the plants were tall, but another danger came. Birds started to eat the seeds. I shot some, and I was watching my corn until all the birds were gone. Chapter 16. Bread. I had my first corn at the end of December. It wasn't a lot of corn. I didn't want to eat the corn. I decided to keep all the seeds. My goal was to put the seeds in the ground again and have more corn later. I thought, I will need some pots for the seeds. I will look for clay around the island. I found some clay. I tried to make a pot. I had no success at the beginning. People in England made beautiful pots. But I didn't know the whole process well enough to be able to make pots. However, I tried again and again. It was a long process, but after 2 months of experimenting and trying, I made 2 large pots. I put the pots into round baskets. I put dry grass between the baskets and the pots. The dry grass and the baskets protected the pots very well. I continued to make small pots. Their quality improved. I also made long but not very high pots. I put seawater in these pots. When the water was gone, I had salt. One day I found a broken piece of one pot in the fire. The fire made the piece as hard as stone, and it was very red too. This gave me a good idea. I took one pot and made a fire around the pot. The pot was very hard after a few hours. I was happy with the result. I thought, I will also need a tool to make flour from seeds. I took a big piece of hard wood for that. I made a hole in the wood. Then I took another piece of hard wood, and I broke the seeds in this hole with the wood. The flour stayed on the bottom of the hole. I thought, I will need something to bake bread. I had an idea. I mixed the flour with water. Then I took 2 stones. I put the stones near the fire. When they were very hot, I put the bread between the stones. This was how I made my first bread on the island. It was during my 3rd year on the island. The bread wasn't perfect, but I liked it a lot. It was my first bread after a long time. I thought about traveling around the island by sea. I thought that it was possible to make a canoe from a big tree. I found one big tree. I cut the tree, and I started to make a hole in it. One day, when I was working on the canoe, I realized that I didn't know how to move it from the forest to the beach. I tried everything to move the canoe. I even thought about digging a channel, but it was all useless. There was a hill between the forest and the beach. I was really sad that I had to leave the canoe in the forest. Many days of work were lost. I didn't believe that I could make such a mistake. I had to plan my work better next time. Chapter 17. Canoe. During my 4th year on the island, my clothes were already very old. I started to use the skins of the animals. I made a cap and other clothes from the skins. They kept me cool in the strong sun, and they protected me from the heavy rain. But the clothes weren't enough. I also needed an umbrella. It took me some time to make the umbrella, but I was successful in the end. I was quite happy with my life on the island. I had everything what I needed for my life on the island. My life on the island continued for the next 5 years. During this time, I decided to make a new canoe. The canoe was smaller, and it was easier to move. I wanted to travel around the island in it. When the canoe was finished, I put food, water, and tools in it. I was ready for the trip. I wanted to test if I could go around the island in my canoe. The trip started during my 6th year on the island on the 6th of June. The beginning of my trip wasn't easy for me. I was in danger when my journey started. I had to go around some rocks in the sea. When I wanted to go back to the coast, I realized that there was a strong current. The current was taking me away from the island. The situation was horrible. I was scared. I thought, I will die in the open sea. I didn't have enough food and water for a long journey. I fought very hard against the current for 2 hours. Finally, I managed to get close to my island. I could continue my trip around the island. Now I knew that I was stronger than the currents around the island. It made me feel good. Soon, I found a small river which went further inside the island. But I got nowhere because soon the river was very narrow. Stones blocked the way. I couldn't continue. I got off my canoe. I went to explore this part of the island. It wasn't far from the part of the island which I knew. I even found the way to my house in the valley. I was so tired from the trip that I fell asleep. I was woken up by a voice. The voice was saying my name. Robinson, where are you? Robinson, where are you? First I was scared, but then I saw my parrot Pole on top of the fence. He knew this sentence from me, and he was saying it with the same intonation as me. I was surprised to see him here. I thought, why wasn't he at home? Still, I was happy to hear somebody talk to me. I left the canoe where it was, and I returned home with the parrot. I didn't make another such trip for a year. I stayed in my house most of the time. I kept making tools and pots. I was better at making baskets. Chapter 18. Foot. It was 11 years since my first moment on the island. One day I noticed that I didn't have much gunpowder. It started to worry me. I needed gunpowder to kill animals. My first goat was very old. It was too late to try to find a male for her. I wanted meat, but I didn't have the heart to kill her. One day, she died a natural death. I thought, with less and less gunpowder, I will have to find another way to get meat. I will make some trap. Tomorrow, I will start to make the trap. I wasn't successful at the beginning, but then I caught 3 young goats. They were 1 male and 2 females. I took the goats home with me. I kept the goats inside a small area with a fence around it, but it was too small for 3 goats. I made a fence for them around a big area. It took me 3 months to build this fence, but the area was very nice. There was a lot of grass and water for them.